Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code, that's Bleav50, BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash here with former legendary 76ers point guard Eric Snow and my brother Teja Dash. Gentlemen, a lot going on in the Sixers world this week. More so that compared to weeks past. You guys ready to get into it?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so we kind of made mention of it last week, but more so as a joke, but it finally happened. The 76ers have entered the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. And these reports that the Sixers and Kevin Durant have mutual interest with each other, coincidentally, happens a couple days after Kevin Durant and James Harden were seen at the Travis Scott concert together. We kind of made a joke about that last week, and then like the day later, that actually happened. The reports came out. So two-part question here. First question, do you think this is legit or are we being leveraged for a bigger deal? And B, do you think we have enough to trade for Kevin Durant?
Well, one, I think if you're talking about Kevin Durant, I think they'll try every team to try to see, what's the best option. So I would think a guy of his status that every team would technically be in play. Whether it's likely or not, who knows? But I think we have enough. I don't think I think from my standpoint, we have enough. I'm not sure if we have enough from the net standpoint. Because I just can't see what they would do without trying to get Joel. And I just don't, if you're going to do Kevin Durant and not take back Joel, I don't see why they would do that. But I guess it could be done without him. I'm sure it can be done without him. I just don't think it's likely without him. Mm-hmm. Unless that's the only deal. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Somebody they're pressed to the end and that's the only deal. I think it can be done. It's just going to come down to how hard KD is going to press. Not showing up or whatever. I mean, how hard is he going to press kind of depends on the type of deal that they would take.
Yeah, I think the blueprint's been laid out by, Ben Simmons, James Harden last year. So the blueprint's kind of there for Kevin Durant to kind of go into that if he wants to. Teja, what are your thoughts on this Kevin Durant sweepstakes?
It wouldn't shock me for it being used as leverage so he can go to Boston or Miami because those were the two most notable names we heard for a while. Some problems to note, though. One is that the Nets apparently want Marcus Smart included in the Boston deal, but Durant wants to play with Smart if he goes to Boston. So that's a problem. I mean, it could be a hiccup, could be solved with an extra pick thrown in there. I don't know, maybe. Sure. But right now it's a speed bump. 2, Miami doesn't want to deal Butler or Bam, which seems like a major issue for the Nets because I would assume they don't want a deal of Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Kyle Lowry because what the hell would that do them? Absolutely nothing. And then it comes down to us. Like you said, the timing is peculiar. People speculated that we were in the mix, but it comes out officially as they hang out together at a concert, which is kind of funny. Durant is extremely close to PJ Tucker. I heard it's actually one of the most, I think he's closest maybe to one of the most closest players to Tucker off the court. And then I see the appeal as far as having enough to trade. That's tough. We don't have the picks. The most popular ones I've seen on Twitter are trade the 2029 first and then remove the protections off the 2027 first rounder. So that'd be like a pick and a half because they already have protections on the 27th rounder. So you got Maxey, Thybulle, Harris for salary purposes, remove the protections of the 27, give them the 29. The question for you guys, would you guys rather have that package or would you rather have Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and like 3 picks?
I mean, I don't know where they're going. I mean, I think if you want to compete right now, I think the Sixers package would put them in better position to compete right now. I would think so.
I heard they do want to compete now. I heard they want future, but they also want to stay in contention right now. They want to compete.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's better than what the Boston offer that you just named. I Bleav that's better.
If you swapped out Derek White for Marcus Smart?
I still think it's better. Because you get into the 3 guys, I think it's better.
Yeah, I mean, Maxey on a rookie deal. Thybulle pretty much got like 1 year left. So they got to figure out what they're going to do with him. He still has value, though. And then, I mean, you have to have someone's like, oh, what about Harris? It's negative value. You have to have someone equal the money. I mean, someone's got to equal Durant's big salary. It's not going to be a guy on a rookie contract. That's the perk. So, I mean, Harris only got 2 years left. It's really not that much anymore. And he helps you compete. He takes Durant's spot on the roster. Literally, you just swap him out, right? I love Jaylen. I'm a big Jaylen Brown fan, but what people don't realize is his contract's coming up too, and he's been a bargain. So he's not going to look to discount anything anymore. He's going to ask for a lot. So you're not getting you think you're getting Brown at this discounted price. That's only for a year, and then you got to pay him Durant money for not Durant. So that's a little tougher for me. And Maxey, you have 3 years to figure that out. I like this.
I think for it really, but with them, it also depends on what they do with Kyrie or what that situation. But I think in some ways they could look at Jaylen Brown as a plug and play guy. I mean, he's obviously Kevin Durant's a better basketball player, but Jaylen Brown's an all-star player as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just you're looking at a guy like that, and then you get an additional player, so I can see why they're shooting for a guy like Marcus Smart because they don't have anyone like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of fill that void too, and bring a different intangible to your team, and a winning intangible to your team. So I can see how them adding him and Marcus Smart would be better than the Sixers deal. Especially depending on the picks, because they're two starters, 2 legit starters on a runner-up championship team.
Absolutely, yeah. Smart, Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, TJ Warren. Who's their 5 right now?
I think outside of us, most people would say the Boston offer is better because outside of us and Sixer fans, they don't. They wouldn't value the Sixers players as much as we do.
Yeah, especially Maxey. We definitely value Maxey more than other people do. It's starting to go around though. That fire's taking.
But not like that though. I mean, not yet.
Yeah,
we got to wait before he gets to that. Kind of looked at from that standpoint.
I mean, he comes out firing and averaging 23, 24 a game. That Durant, if he doesn't get traded by the season, that could easily be. Okay, we'll take Maxey. I mean, you have a future all-star. Let's why not? So, yeah.
If you guys had to kind of make bets on where Durant will be by All-Star break, where do you think they'll?
I have no clue.
No,
man,
I have no clue. I don't think it's. I don't know. I think if I was a betting guy now, I would probably bet that it may be a team that hasn't been mentioned.
Yeah, the field. Yeah.
I mean,
got to be someone he wants to go to, right? Too, because if you're going to trade for a guy, no one wants to be that Kawhi rental anymore for like Toronto was. I mean, they run a ring, that's great, but it doesn't sound very appealing. So, I mean, if he's saying I have 3 teams I want to go to, figure it out. That's why it's taking so long because there's only so much to trade from those teams, and If you said by the season starting, I'd say the Nets, even though that rumor came out about him retiring and whatnot, even though he said that's ridiculous. But I'd say start of the season, I would say the Nets. Just because I don't see them rushing to do this. I just don't see
I think they get it done before camp. If I had to guess, I would say they get it done before
Really?
camp.
You think so?
I think with the Kyrie situation and the Ben situation, I think they go into camp with the team that they want to have. I don't think they go in with that black cloud and changing the team and the team changing in the middle of the year again. I just think they get it done before then.
Yeah.
And Tobias Harris is a very good team guy. I mean, I know that's not why you trade for somebody, but coming off all this disastrous moves that the Nets have been dealing with, dealt with Harden, dealt with Kyrie, dealt with KD, dealing with Simmons, even though he's been good for them, but that whole group text thing, getting a guy like Harris, who's a consummate professional, Stephen A would say, is just, it's a breath of fresh air to bring that guy along who is not going to give you any trouble at all, and just fill in a good 20-8 role as a 4.
I will say it's funny if this trade does happen, we'll retrade Maxey, Thybulle, and Tobias to Brooklyn. It'd be funny. Ben Simmons is surrounded by the team that he left. It'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, so the Brooklyn Sixers.
Yeah.
Everyone but Embiid. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're the Philadelphia Rockets, then they got to be the Brooklyn Sixers.
Yeah.
Hey, Simmons always wanted to be the guy on that Sixers team.
Saying they would technically have more former players than us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. If you count Curry too, then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that'd be
the Nets guy be thinking that too. They're like, we can't become the 2021 Sixers. We can't become the 2021 Sixers minus Embiid. We can't do that. That's not. We saw what happened. That didn't win. Minus Embiid plus TJ Warren and Kyrie. That's not bad, but it's not winning it either. It's not bad. It's not what they want.
What's call is the guy from Utah with them also?
Royce O'Neal too. Yeah.
Yeah, they look, man.
They made some good pickups this offseason.
You got a lot of guys.
Yeah, if they the Nets could they make the right move, they could still be in there.
Yeah.
I think that'd be, if you did that trade, it'd be a very interesting team. I think they have a lot of talent, kind of a mishmash of players, but if they had Kyrie, Maxey, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, TJ Warren, Curry, that's a lot of guys. That's a lot of guys that throw out somebody. So yeah,
will be interesting.
Tobias, it's a really deep team. It's a deep team of a bunch of like 2s and 3s. Except for Kyrie, but can you count on him at this point?
We just seen the team very similar be the number 1 seed in the East last year.
It's true.
Yeah. Yep, it's true.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and also where Kyrie even goes to if he does get traded too. So if they want to get rid of Durant, and they can also probably get rid of Kyrie as well, try to get rid of kind of that, not the headaches, but guys who are causing problems within the organization. So, moving on to the next topic. So there's been a schedule leak, and it wasn't Woj or Shams dropping that. That was James Harden who dropped this bombshell of a schedule leak.
Harden bomb.
Yeah, Harden bomb. Harden indicated the Sixers will have a Christmas Day game against the New York Knicks this coming year. And as fans, we love watching, unwrapping gifts and watching basketball, having it on in the background. But as a player, Eric, how do you feel playing on a holiday?
Home games were awesome. Road games are overrated.
Playing on a holiday?
Yeah, road games are overrated.
Because you can't just go home and be with your family afterwards. You got to travel.
And really, look, when I was with the Sixers, Disney on Ice took over, so we were gone every Christmas. So I never played a home game on Christmas until I played for the Cavaliers, and we never did it because we were always on the road for Christmas. So it's to me, it's overrated if you're on the road. Christmas dinner with your family, waking up But if you're a home game, I mean, you can still wake up and the kids can have like you still got a somewhat of a normal Christmas day. Whereas on the road, you don't. So I mean, to me, I think playing on the road is overrated. Like I said, home game is awesome. You instead of watching games, you do everything you do in the morning, same routine, and you get up and play a game, and you can still watch games around it.
Mm.
Would you rather have the early game or late game on a holiday?
Afternoon.
Afternoon?
Yeah, mid-afternoon, early game. I've played at noon. I've played a little later. They were saying.
I guess playing in New York
different with basketball because you don't have to be there technically as early, maybe as you do in football and some other stuff like that. Mm. So if you play a noon game and you technically can still get up early and have a Christmas morning with your children. I mean, you still can do that. You still have a lot of time and still be in your normal routine. But I liked to kind of get the day over and come back and have a dinner, Christmas dinner. But I know some guys, liked it at night because you have like the whole day and then you go play the game at night. So I can see where guys can say that too. I just prefer earlier games, but I always prefer earlier games on weekends. Over,
I guess
later
the New York
like in college,
one,
but like I was in college, the best game to play in college was like a 2:00 game. But the best game on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. You can wake up, have a normal morning, and have a normal night too.
Have a night to yourself, and then you usually get Sunday off, so you really got like a day and a half off.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but if you travel for a Christmas basketball game, you probably are not playing on the 26th, right?
We did before, I believe so.
Oh man, that's brutal.
I think we were in LA. If we can look it up, not the year after we went to the finals. I believe we played the Lakers and then the Clippers the next day.
Oh man, yeah. Wow.
If it wasn't the next day, I believe it was 2 days later. But I know it was on the same trip. But I believe it was the next day. I'm not certain. I think nowadays they don't have you do that. But when I play, yeah, they would have done that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they didn't care.
Scheduling was so much tighter.
Yeah, complaints didn't matter back then.
I
guess the New York
for 2002 was that December 2002 or was that 03?
It would have been 01, 02.
01, 02, okay.
So it was still December of 2001.
Okay. Just looking that up real quickly. So
I guess
yeah. It looks here that on the 24th at LA, 25th at the Clippers. Yeah, so Lakers, Clippers, 24th, 25th. And then you had 2 days off, and then you played the Nuggets on the 27th.
Yeah. So I thought it was back-to-back.
Yeah, man. Oof.
Yeah. Not only did they give us a Christmas game in LA, they gave us a game the next day.
Man.
I guess with Boston and not Boston, I guess New York and Philly, though, if you do play the early game at noon, I mean, you could get back to Philly pretty quickly.
I mean, the New York game is actually not a bad game for Christmas Day because it's New York City, and that game is always incredible. Even whenever you play in New York City is an awesome experience. On the Christmas Day, then you can take the train back and be back, much faster than going through the whole flying back and all of that. So even though you didn't wake up at home, you can still get back at home at a reasonable time to have somewhat of a day.
Mm-hmm.
At least a Christmas dinner or something. Maybe open presents a little later. Like you're still getting back where you can do some of the things that you do, whatever you do in your family at home. So that's not a bad trip. Even maybe Boston's maybe not even a bad trip. Somewhere close like that, or
Northeast is pretty good.
Yeah, those aren't bad trips from Philly standpoint.
What about how are Thanksgivings for you on games on days you have a Thanksgiving away is probably rough, right? The away Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of them, but we didn't really play on Thanksgivings. But I had a lot of games the day after Thanksgiving. Because we were usually gone for Christmas, we weren't usually gone for the whole Thanksgiving break. We were probably going the day before or the day after. If we played the day after, we would usually leave a little later. So you may leave, we would usually leave around 2 or 3 o'clock, somewhere around there we would fly out. And on that particular day, you would just leave later, probably 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on where you were going. And at that time, it was usually not a West Coast trip, so it was somewhere within a couple hours.
That's not bad.
So you just left a little later on that Thanksgiving day.
Yeah. Traveling during the holidays, man.
Yeah.
Well, as a fan, I'm really going to enjoy it.
Yeah. It's always good to have it on the background, open up the gifts or cleaning up, during the cleanup portion of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm more excited about that Christmas game or the other league, the opener against Boston.
Yeah.
Both going to be really, really fun.
That's at Boston, right?
I don't know where it's at.
It'll be. They'll have Boston play. They won't have Boston play on the road.
Yeah. So I can't remember the last time we had the opener on the opening night. It's been a long time. Yeah. I can't even remember.
Feels like it, at least.
Yeah, because it's usually Boston gets that game a lot. Whether it's back in the day when Cavaliers or the Heat were playing, they would get they would play against whoever was.
But they used to play. They used to have a lot more games that day. Now it's just those 2 games.
Yeah.
It was opening day, and then you had a lot of games. It was just which games were on television.
Right, the TNT
But
game.
now it's just those 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'll be fun. I'm glad that the networks are giving us more airtime and giving us more games. I love that. It's 2 right there. Man, that's amazing.
Yeah. Good.
That means I think we're going to be good.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. Not so much a league pass reliant this year.
Yeah.
So going from Harden, breaking the news about our schedule for Christmas. There was also some clips of Harden again doing some pickup basketball at with Rico Hines. And the interesting one was the fact that he was playing with our backup center, Charles Bassey, or competing for the backup center spot. And it kind of shows that he has a couple of lobs to Charles Bassey, and it looks like they're really gaining chemistry together. So my question is, for a young backup big, how important is it for Bassey to kind of gain this development while playing along with James Harden, especially when we have a vacancy at the backup 5 position?
Man, it definitely helps. You're playing with James, and you're playing basketball, so you're getting some reps in, and then you're playing with a guy that can help you and can help the chemistry as far as how the team plays, how he plays. So it's definitely helpful. And I know Rico and how he runs his games. They're more game-like. And they play with a shot clock. I mean, they play with things that you don't traditionally play with in pickup. But he tries to make them more game-like. They kind of play NBA rules a lot. So it's very realistic from that standpoint. I just think that, the more you can play, the more you can play with guys that you're going to be with during the season, it definitely helps.
Teja, you think think we have our backup 5 in Charles Bassey? Is that what you think?
Yeah.
Training in that
direction? I don't know. If there's anyone to stay close to as a backup big, it's probably James Harden. If you're looking at a player, learn his movements, see what he likes, what he wants you to do. If you get comfortable with Harden and he gets comfortable with you, it'll just make you look good, right? So we haven't signed a backup big yet. We haven't signed the veteran that we were kind of expecting for a while. So it looks like it'll be an open race for backup minutes between, Paul Reed and Bassey, at least for now. So if Bassey has great chemistry and develops that with Harden, it could definitely win him some more minutes when the season actually starts. Maybe even take the job. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe Harden could turn Bassey into Philly Capella. we are missing that guy. We have enough Houston players. So instead of just getting them over here, we just turn one of our own players into that. Right. So, Bassey becomes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, are you all ruling out the signing of a veteran big, or are they going to wait at this point? Are they going to wait to see how things are in training camp and all that stuff before bringing on a veteran big at this point?
Like I said before, until this whole Kevin Durant thing is resolved, who knows?
Yeah,
you're a part of it. Who knows what you're going to have to take back? So we don't know. I think they could eventually look to get someone, but I don't think it happens anytime soon.
And we have too many not roster spots. We have too many players. So that's another thing we can't really sign. I mean, if we got to sign someone, we got to waive 2 guys at this point. So they're definitely preparing for some kind of move to get under that. Either it's, waiving someone with non-guaranteed money, or I don't know, like 3 for 1 with Durant, and then they can sign someone. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because such a big player is left to be untraded. And like Eric said earlier, everyone wants in on that talk. So the rumors were we were on the phone right away. So Morey's a very aggressive guy, man. So if he wants a player, he's going to put his best foot forward to get him.
Yeah. And he likes big name guys too. So that's always been his MO, to go for the big name guy and then figure it out later.
Durant's definitely fits that bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. I didn't just a side note, by the way, I saw Morey at Philly camp. I don't know if you've probably seen him before in person, Eric. He's a tall dude.
Yeah.
He's right. I didn't realize he was that big. He was towering over Philly players. It's Eagle players. I was like, damn, Morey.
Yeah, he was towering over Sirianni, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Boston Scott's a smaller guy, but still, it was like,
yeah,
dude, those guys offensive linemen next to Boston Scott. I was like, what the hell?
Did Morey ball? Did they play basketball?
I'm not sure.
Just a numbers guy? Just a waste of height numbers guy?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't think so, but
yeah, he doesn't strike me as a basketball type, but you never know. He maybe got back up 5 minutes back in high school.
I have no idea.
Certainly tall enough.
Yeah. Okay, so with our final topic tonight, I think we're coming to the end of the Ben Simmons saga finally after over a year. But the Sixers and Pitt Simmons have come to an agreement for him to be paid a portion of the $20 million that was withheld from him. They've also come to terms where they will not disclose that they're going to kind of keep that private, how much money he gets paid out. So it's
smart.
Something with that $20 million. But a lot of people online, a lot of journalists are talking about this may have some ramifications going forward. So I have to ask you guys, what impact do you think this was going to have on the next CBA deal?
I think it's going to be huge. But I don't think it's going to be necessarily 1 point. I think the biggest thing coming from this is the mental health part. I think that's going to be, because that's hard to kind of get a grasp of. When someone says that, or is there a certain steps you got to take if this is the case? Do you have to sit a certain amount of games if this is the case? And you know what I'm saying? I think that's going to be a huge conversation, and I don't know how that's going to balance out or play out. But the holding out and guys asking for trades, that's not new. I mean, that's always been kind of a stickler for between the union and the league. That's somehow they've kind of put things in place for that. But guys are making a lot more money now, and they can miss some more games. So I do think that it's going to be huge, but I do not think it's kind of one thing. I think it's a combination of things that is going to have to be figured out.
Teja, what are your thoughts on the
on it, kind of everything that's going on. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the tweets from a lot of the Philadelphia journalists who are pretty pissed off by this and saying it's going to be maybe a lockout next season because of this whole Simmons Sixers.
Yeah, a lot of people are worried about a lockout. I mean, well, if we eventually hear the CBA can't be agreed upon because of certain issues, we'll know right away this is probably one of them. If their owners argue for less guarantees or some sort of assurances in the contract that players must play, don't get paid. But again, the mental health part throws a huge curveball into the whole thing because, I mean, if he does have valid reasons as per the contract, then he has valid reasons. So what are you going to do about that? It's not just Ben, though. I mean, you're right. I mean, holdouts and stuff like that have happened forever. But I was hearing things about Kyrie's contract that he wants in his contract. He doesn't play more than 60 games, doesn't play in back-to-backs. I mean, I think put that language in your contracts. It's pretty crazy. At what point do we stop saying, see what you can get in your contract, see what you can pull off in there? No back-to-backs, don't play more than 60 games. But at what point do you start saying, show up and do your job, man? Like, I mean, come on. Like, I don't know.
It's you kind of, when you say it, Teja, you kind of almost talking from a league standpoint. But I know I've been in those meetings and I've been in, negotiating in real time. So I kind of know from a standpoint that the league wants, especially the league ownership, they want rules in place. So they have to kind of eliminate the how many times they have to tell a player no. They want to not be able to do that. They want the agreement to do all of that.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like they want to be their friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the players from a standpoint is like, if you got a situation, you just make a decision. Like, it's your team, like, make a decision. Like the whole, I'll give you an example, the whole age limit. The league wanted in, and the players, we wanted in. We want guys to be, we want to cut this age thing. It's getting crazy. And our standpoint was, well, just don't draft them. Like, why do you have to have a rule in to prevent it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like they want rules in to prevent them from themselves. Because you have some, like I said, that'll pay LeBron James $100 million a year. Some won't. But the rules are in to prevent them amongst each other, more so than against the players in a lot of situations. So where it's going to be issues amongst the players and the league, it's also a lot of issues amongst that league on how they see things.
And I get that. I mean, yeah, I'm totally not the player's perspective. I can't. It's hard to be put myself in those shoes. But I know you're not a big comparing era guy. Like they did this then, they did this now. But I mean, in what era ever? I mean, did you hear of guys asking in their contract negotiations to not play more than 60 games and not play back to back to be in the contract? That just
I know guys want it. I can't particularly say a guy. I know of a guy that asked for that. I do know guys that wanted that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They wanted to be able to, not play. Like especially like when I was in the league, and older guys kind of say those things. I do think now I feel it's kind of harder to negotiate that because of all the changes that have been made as far as the schedule, limiting, not playing any 4 games in 5 nights and limiting how many back-to-backs you got and travel and all of the different things that were put in place that supposedly giving you the option to play more games.
Good compromise, right?
Huh? Say it again.
It was a good compromise on the league's part to do that.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, so it's, that's where it kind of headed. Like guys were complaining about how often you play games and all of that stuff. And it was no restrictions on practice. I mean, we had 2-a-days a week before the season started when I was in Philly. We were still doing 2-a-days. Like it was no restrictions. So I get it. I just think that, like I said, it's the league kind of wants, guidelines to protect themselves. And because if you let a couple of guys do it, then you really letting everyone do it.
I want the Kyrie contracts.
Yeah.
I want the Kyrie.
And then it's almost the one thing about the league is like, once they kind of give players something, they like almost never get it back.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why the dollar amount for Simmons is not public, because they don't want all players to know he got back 17 out of 20 million after not playing. Because other players, I'm not saying his mental health is true or false. I'm not going to get into that. But if you're another player and you know him, you're like, man, he was fine.
Yeah, that's
like
the
he got
playbook.
17 back.
That's the playbook right there.
And that's a problem. So they're probably, there's probably, man, that's crazy.
It's gonna be interesting. I mean, I think lockouts are never good. I mean, I went through actually 3. The first one was really short. It was my going into my rookie year, like right after the draft. It was like a couple months, and so we couldn't contact the team. It was like a couple months. So I didn't even. They canceled summer league. I'm supposed to play in summer league. They had canceled summer league, and I didn't get to Seattle until maybe late August or early September. I hadn't talked to anyone until then.
Dang.
And then obviously the big lockout in 98, 99, and then I think we had another one that was, I can't remember, maybe 2004, 3, whatever, 5. We didn't miss any games, but it was a lockout part of that summer.
Yeah. It's also kind of a power shift too, right? Like, I mean, guys hold more power. I think throughout the years, they just hold more power every year, right? A little more. It moves over just a little bit. And now guys can, like you said a minute ago, guys wanted to ask for no back-to-backs and 60 games, but they wouldn't do that in the end, right?
Well, I mean, it's
now guys can. They're like, you know what?
But it's also different from a standpoint that not that we didn't have unity back then. It's just that now I think that they have more unity up top, where I think that you have more players. We had, our top players are almost within a couple agents who kind of made decisions based on the status of those players.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It was agents that felt the same way as some ownership did. Pay the top players everything you can pay them, pay everybody else the minimum. Like it was some agents that thought that way because all their players were what? Top players.
Yep.
So it was, you had a lot more, like different thought processes going on because of the scale of things, where I think now it's a little more balanced as far as, salaries and how things are kind of seen and viewed. And I think that in their room, they have more top players in that room as far as negotiating. I don't know how much of a balance of top players, all-star players, average players, minimum players. Like, I don't really know their balance. I just know that they have a lot more higher end salary players that are heavily involved than we had when I played.
It's funny too that you said the whole owners don't like saying no, or the league doesn't either way. League owners, they don't like saying no. They want to just be in the contract so they don't have to even talk about it.
Yes.
It's kind of like what I think Kyrie wants in getting that 60 games just written in there. Yeah. So when he's trying to do his little 5-game hiatus, it won't be bottom line anymore.
You don't have to ask any questions. This is what I'm doing. Like, it's already defined. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So when players are that way, then it comes down to, well, you get paid all this money. You know what I'm saying? And then so the players now say, well, you make all this money too.
Yep.
So
the books are open now. Everyone knows what they make. So it's crazy stuff. It's going to be interesting.
Yep. Can't wait.
Well, Kyrie, going to your boss and asking for, negotiating, that's what they do. People go to their boss all the time. I want a corner office. I want this. You're going to ask for it. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but there's nothing wrong with asking for it.
Yeah. I mean, but it's different. You look at it from that standpoint, it's very different. Like, I don't really view it as a corner room and he's the boss upstairs. Like, I don't really view it like that. I view it more of a corporation doing business with another corporation. And that's how I kind of see it. So it's like, do you want to continue to do business with this corporation?
Gotcha.
And then from that standpoint, because I just think everyone's they own their own company. The individual little companies.
Yeah.
You're saying that with the agreement between the league
just from a team's perspective and a player. I think if you got 15 players and it's 15 corporations, it's no different than, you guys all do Apple. I don't really do Apple iPhones and stuff like that, but you all do. But if you look at an iPhone and you grab it, it's like Apple doesn't make everything on there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's different companies and different pieces that produces that phone. In order to have that phone, like every piece got to work. And those are different companies that are a part of that. Mm-hmm. Even though you look at the final product is this. You look at the final product is the Philadelphia 76ers.
That's interesting.
But the Philadelphia 76ers have, 15 different corporations that they sign in order to make that team.
So you never saw it as employer?
I don't look at it like that. No. When I was younger, I did.
Okay.
But as I've gotten older, that's how I view it now.
While you were playing, did it change your post career? Did you were like, you know what? It wasn't like that.
I probably kind of viewed it like that towards the end of my career. I think as I finished, I was able to articulate it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Do a lot of players see it that way too? Or do you think most
probably
players?
Not.
Okay.
I know a lot of older players didn't really view it like that. The guys nowadays might do it because there's so much information, so much more information for them and examples that they can kind of use. I do think that they're so much more advanced as far as their thinking and research and details than we were, and should be though. You know what I'm saying? With everything that's out there. But yeah, I really do view it that way because it's if someone, if things doesn't go well for a particular person, that affects him and his business. So if you go, you gotta, if you want that person to perform well, he has to have and live well, perform well. He's going to have an accountant, financial advisor, trainer, chef. He can have all of these different people that he got to make sure that he's going to have an agent. Like all those people work for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he's making decisions that they all work for him.
Right.
Sound like a corporation to me or a company to me.
Yeah. It's interesting. I never thought about it that way before.
Yeah. Well, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with this. And Eric, that's the way that's a great soundbite for the episode right there. The whole employer and employee versus the corporations and corporations. I really like it because I never really thought about it that way at all. And that goes for NFL. That goes for all the sport leagues.
Yeah, you're in business together, right?
Yes.
And you're bringing a brand and you're bringing an audience with you too, with every team you go to. Also, I think that's another aspect of it. That's interesting.
I think I've heard before they're partners pretty much, but I've never heard the corporation versus corporation thing. It's true.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the, especially when you're dealing with certain players are corporations. So it's like,
that's what I'm saying. Like you look
literally
LeBron James is playing and he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
He's got more money than some of the minority owners of the team, probably, It's crazy.
All right, people, that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Bleav In 76ers, presented by BetOnline. We'll see you guys next week as maybe we get this Kevin Durant trade happening.
Cross fingers.
Cross our fingers.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, guys, have a good one.
Later, guys.
Take it easy.